It's a new year, but we're not going to evade those Collingwood unpopular opinions, and we're going to hit it at full throttle. Just bear in mind, guys, these are fans' opinions, not mine. I will share my 2 cents on them, but if you want to go crazy, have at it in the comment section. But just bear in mind, I'm just the messenger, so don't shoot me, okay? We'll start with Kevs Magpies. Unpopular opinion, Tim Membry plays 10 games. So I'm going to assume he's suggesting that Tim Membry will play less than 10 games next year. This year. I feel like that would be a catastrophe in the sense that if he used to play less than 10 games fully healthy, he would be essentially clogging up a spot and not doing the job we wanted. We're looking to create that 3 key tall forward line and have those smalls build around him or them, and would defeat the purpose of bringing him over. So personally, I think Tim Membry, if he's healthy, he plays 15 plus games, and he should be starting in our starting 23 come opening round against GWS. So that's one from Kev. Thanks, mate. Speed Dealer says, Reef McKinna won't cement a spot down back. I've had reservations about this one early on in the preseason, although it is early days for Reef learning the craft of what a defender is or should be in his position. He still looks to spoil the ball more than trying to take the mark early days, and his spoils aren't incredibly effective, but that is in match simulation and one-on-one drills. But that's the sample size we have thus far, so I can only judge him on that. I think it would be better if Reef plays 4 or 5 games in the VFL to get familiar with what it's like at a high-intensity competition game, and then bleed him in slowly towards the back end of the first half of the season. I feel like if he starts there, I'm not saying he couldn't, but if he starts there and doesn't play well, that could be the end of Reef McKinna. So I don't want to throw him to the wolves necessarily, give him a chance to breathe in that position. Moving on, we've got Nick. Elliott will get pushed out of the side by our other forwards. That is a huge call. Elliott at his best is our best small forward because he can do it all. He's actually a great pressure forward, which people might not attribute to him firstly, or that's not what first comes to mind with Elliott. The first thing that comes to mind is his clutchness and his ability to take marks overhead, being 5'8", 5'9". I'm sorry if he's taller than that, but he's a short man, but he can take really good marks. And Lockie Schultz is trying to emulate that as well, or tries his best, but doesn't have quite the same vertical leap as Jamie Elliott, which is what allows him to take marks to the highest point. Yeah, I mean, if he gets injured, maybe, right? He didn't have the greatest second half of the year, but mind you, he was coming off quite a significant foot injury. So hopefully we can get at least another full good season from Jamie Elliott this season. Moving on, Scoobs Ahoy says, Will Hayes is the first player, or will be the first player to debut that hasn't already. So that's ahead of Charlie West, that's ahead of Joel Cochran and Ilaru Smith, which is a big call, but logically it makes sense. Usually your smaller players might get an opportunity because they can fill more roles. Will Hayes played a lot of footy in the Talents League as a winger, or not the Talents League, sorry. Was he from the Waffle? I think he's from the Waffle. I don't know if he played Talents League, but in the National Championships, he played wing and forward. So he definitely has greater versatility to be injected into the team before Charlie West and Joel Cochran. Not that he has the same ceiling as the other two, potentially, but he definitely could get a look in much earlier. Tiger Air AU says, Tim Membry will be our top goal kicker. Once again, it's not an unpopular opinion, or it might be if he's beating Myercheck and McStay, but he did kick 30 odd goals last season for St Kilda. So with the way we move the ball at our best, forwards have a field day and will be licking their lips when the ball's coming inside 50. So if Tim Membry can throw it back, man, we get him as a delisted free agent, and if we can get a top goal kicking season from Tim Membry, kudos to the selection panel and the team that looks at, or the department that looks at acquiring these types of players. So that would be very exciting. Moving on, Madison Tallarico. Myercheck won't score more than 25 goals in 2025. Objectively, do I think 25 goals is a below par benchmark for Myercheck? Probably. I think 30 goals would be great, but he does much more than kicking goals. He averages 2 goals a game, so what's that? 23 odd games. That's 46 goals. So it would be a significant drop off. But with Tim Membry there, you can afford to see Mychek scoring 30, 35 this season, and just giving us what he does every week in, week out, which is just throws himself at anything and is just a wrecking ball. So yeah, keep a tab on that. Madison has something out for Mychek, a bit of a vendetta for him. So just take that one with a grain of salt, Madison. Al Johnson says, any fast-paced midfield that puts a tag on Dacos, we're going to be cooked. It happened against North Melbourne. We looked slower without Bo McCreary, Lockie Schultz at times because they come up to the stoppage. Bobby Hill, Jamie Elliott, they make us look much faster. It's really important that we are competitive inside the contest with Tom Mitchell, Ed Allen, hopefully, Pendlebury, Dacos, and then we don't have to worry about being outpaced. Yes, we are going to be slower than other teams, but that is the makeup of our squad. I think with Dan Houston and Perryman being injected in, especially with Perryman, who will probably play midfield quite early, he's going to do a job with running back towards defensive 50 and keeping up with the faster players. So I think we've recruited well enough to ensure that we compensate for that area with the likes of, well, still Sidebottom's not that slow, but Pendlebury's slow, Mitchell is slow, De Go is power. So yeah, we'll see. Moving on, Anarchus Hayes. Billy Frampton is one of the worst players in AFL and should be delisted. In Collingwood's situation, we need Frampton for depth. And even if he plays VFL, I've been talking about it in off-season, we need experienced players in the VFL to nurture these younger players. We didn't have that last year, and that's why our VFL side was so poor. A lot of injuries, players moved up. Whereas if we can have a clean bill of health, then at least these more experienced players or these fringe players like Markov, Frampton, older players like Mitchell, Hoskin, Elliott, whoever it may be, if they play VFL, it's not just a waste. These players are going to be espousing wisdom to our younger players trying to break in. So while he might not be on an AFL team, on an AFL list at other clubs perhaps, I think he still warrants a position right now at Collingwood. Tor856 has two opinions in one, so we'll pump him out. Cox is our best ruckman. He's definitely a better tap ruckman than Darcy Cameron, if that's what you're talking about. But when it comes to all-round ruck craft and ability to move throughout the field and play in an open game, Darcy Cameron is definitely a better ruckman in that sense. And then he says Lipinski isn't best 22. I think I had Lipinski in my best 23. He was a sub. But he's having a good preseason. He's always fit. He's always a good runner. Does a lot of dog work. Has done a lot of dog work, particularly late last year as that high half forward player. Does a lot of running. So, yeah, we'll see. Johnny Ayers, Tim Membry will take Jamie Elliott's place in the team. I don't think it's like for like. I think if someone's going to get the short end of the stick when it comes to selection, it will be Tim Membry for Mason Cox. That's my belief, okay? Moving on. On the other side, conversely, the Metro Boy 22, Pat Lipinski will have more midfield time and less time in forward, possibly more Brownlow votes. Lipinski has been flirted with in the midfield at times throughout his Collingwood career, especially early on. Was it 2022 or 2023? He played more midfield. There's an opportunity there for sure. Maybe it happens this year, maybe it doesn't. It depends on the likes of Perryman. It depends on the likes of Ed Allen. So we'll see. He's much an outside player, so it's just not what we're looking for right now in the midfield. We've got Nick Dacos. Geordie can be a great outside player. Pendlebury is good inside and out. Yeah, it wouldn't be a good balance if Lipinski was rolling in with those players unless he develops somewhat of an inside game. The Laughing Magpie says, Sidebottom, Hoskin, Elliott, Cox and Mitchell to be surpassed in the best 23 in 2025. It could happen. I don't think all four of them. That would be unrealistic, unreasonable. I think 2 or 4 of them could be surpassed. If you look at Cox and Mitchell, maybe Hoskin, Elliott, Sidebottom. Who knows? But is that a bad thing? Does that mean younger players are all of a sudden starting to play well? Is Finlay McRae lifting? Is Reef McKinna able to hold down the spot? Harvey Harrison comes back in. So it's catch-22. I think there's pros and cons to both sides of this unpopular opinion of yours, Laughing Magpie. And then what else have we got? Have we got anything else? We do. Dean would be more from TRCBL. Dean would be more suited to a third tall alongside Moore and Frampton than as to the fullback to Moore. Frampton also didn't play poor. He just got moved too much. Actually started the season on fire and was reliable until he was moved down forward where everything fell apart from. Great point. Once Frampton was moved forward, it ruined his rhythm. I spoke about this at length with Fly McRae swinging him forward, and when he came back, he never looked the same. But when he started against St Kilda and was it maybe not Sydney, whoever was after St Kilda, Brisbane, he played well against. So that is an interesting case to be made. And then Charlie Dean, to me, he can be third tall. He plays like a third tall. Although he's the same size as Murphy, he just doesn't play the same as Murphy. So I do agree with you there. But then, someone like Reef McKinna is probably in the same conversation there. So we'll move over to Instagram. Okay, what have we got here? Bentley B says Ed Allen plays more than Sidebottom. Once again, it's more or less, if Ed Allen's playing better than Sidebottom, it's probably a wise decision to bleed him in slowly, but I think Sidebottom still has a little bit more left in him. And then James V. Brown says Ed Allen will win the Rising Star Award. That would be amazing. He'd still be eligible. I hope so. He is in his third year. He was drafted at the end of 2022. So it would be a good time to bleed in Ed Allen and, the raps that have been sung about him or the praises that have been sung about him so far since that game against Melbourne. Wallet Fam says the old bloke's age starts to show in 2025. I fear a big gap in squad quality. Is it a fallacy? Is the old conversation redundant? Or you look at Geelong and how they've been able to stay relevant? We'll see. It's a good one, though. It's a good one. Pommy in Oz says, Pies to dispel they have zero youth coming through and the likes of Demeter, Allen drive the Pies to top four. So that's another player who hasn't debuted at AFL level yet. That's Demeter. And that's the other side of the conversation. Like we said, some people were saying that we're too old, but also we do have youth coming in and we have good players in that 20 to 25 bracket. Quaynor, Dacos, the both of them, and then Harvey Harrison. So there's a couple more boxes we need more ticked in that age bracket, but it's not all doom and gloom, I would say. That's for sure. And I think we'll pretty much leave that at that. There's a bunch more, but I don't want to make this video too long. I think those were the best ones posted. So as always, if you want to share your 2 cents, we'll do this on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, and we can have a yarn in the comment section. I'm sure plenty of you guys are going to have your say about what we've just spoken about now. And where the preseason starts in 2 days or resumes in 2 days, so we'll have more content to come that way. The season starts in February, so it's going to be all systems go, and we're pretty much into the rhythm now post the Christmas and New Year. So I can breathe properly after my nose surgery, so there's no excuses now. And I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it, guys. Go Pies.